Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bell to Bells, your women's wrestling wire. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and thank you very much for joining us here today on youtube.com/bell to bells or on your favorite podcast app. Today, we bring you an interview in our series of talks with wrestlers who made it on the 2020 PWI Women's 100 list. And today, I am pleased to be joined by Hardcore Shazza McKenzie, or is it Heartbreak Core now, Shazza?
It's like it was going to be Heartbreaker now, and then there was a global pandemic. So who really knows? I had this whole gimmick change planned, and then the world shut down, and then I was like, okay, cool. So we're just gonna it is what it is. We'll see.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do another gimmick change by the time like wrestling starts back up in Australia. I'll be core heartbreak. I'm going to stop trying to make words out of things.
Well, I guess we'd get along quite well because I like to do that as well. But Shazza, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Well, look, hey, let's talk about the big thing, right? I mean, it's been the story for every independent wrestler out there. Look, last year you wrestled in 28 different promotions. This year, not so much. COVID-19 has made it a quiet year for indie wrestlers. How have you stayed busy over the past few months?
Well, for a long time, I didn't stay busy at all. Like in Australia, where I was in America when the pandemic hit, about to kick off a nice 2-month tour. And then I came back home, and then we were in lockdown for about 3 months. I was like completely just literally in my house doing nothing, like just going to the grocery shop and coming home, and had no purpose and will to do anything. So we've been kind of normalish, I think, for about 2.5, 3 months. Not normal, but like functioning as we can here. So I have a part-time job because there's no wrestling still in Australia. And even when there was wrestling in Australia, there's no money in Australian wrestling. So got to do what you got to do, because like we can train, but we still can't have like any sort of gatherings of like people.
Right.
It's our restrictions in Australia are I think a lot stricter than what's going on in America. So yeah, I don't know when I'll be able to wrestle. Like we're coming up on, like I've just passed 5 months since today is 5 months since my last match. While we're recording this, but we weren't going to date anything, but we'll just ignore that. So we're coming up to, it being very 5 months. So we're going to, soon it's going to be 6 months. Like there's nothing in the plans for the next month. Sure. So it's going to get to 6 months, and who knows? Like, I don't see myself wrestling likely again this year because of how it is in Australia, and until we can get a vaccine, sure, Australia's not going to let me out of our country. So
yeah, right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I know, but and you touched on it a bit, and I don't, it's not something I don't want. Like, I don't want this entire talk to be about the big Rona. But yeah, you touched on it a bit. They shut down everything in the States while you were on your way here, and you had 32 bookings set up, something like that, right? You had and you had to quit your job to buy the ticket, and you were gonna sleep on couches. What was running through your head at the time? That must have been wild.
God. I think it all, because it all kind of just was happening, I was in panic mode, but I was also well, I just got to go through it. Because, while I did also, I got there, and while I was in the plane was when Trump made his speech about, shutting the borders and everything like that. And, when I got on the plane, everyone was kind of ha, it's just the flu, guys. Get over it. And then by the time I got off the plane, everyone was no, the world's going to end. And I was oh, cool. That's great. And I ended up one of my shows the weekend that I was there got cancelled, but then I've picked up another one, and then my other show that weekend was still there, and I did that show, and then everything else got cancelled. Like it was done. And then I was like, my biggest fear was that I was going to pack up and go home.
Right.
I had this like 2-month trip booked, and I was scared that I was going to be like, okay, well, there's nothing, like everything's cancelled. I'm just going to go home now. And then it was all going to be fine in 2 weeks. Cause we didn't know,
right.
like the initial like lockdown was like 2 weeks, and everyone was like, well, people were still like, maybe Mania is going to happen. Like, maybe, like didn't know. And I didn't want to give up and fly home and when I came home, I had to do 14 days of quarantine, self-isolated in a room by myself. Like, I didn't want to go through all that and then like open up my phone. Everyone's just back wrestling in America, and I could have still been there. But luckily I made the right decision. And I didn't just wait it out. But who knows? I didn't know what was going to happen, and I just had to hope for the best and try and figure out life. And luckily I got home and everything was fine in that sense. Like, there's still a giant global pandemic and giant recession and all the horrible things that are happening. But
right.
I'm home. I'm with my family. I'm with my friends. Like, I'm healthy. It's like, it's fine.
I think,
like, figure it out.
I think you have the best possible outlook on it, honestly, because you're right. It would have sucked if you went back, and then while you're back in Australia, like a couple of weeks later, oh, WrestleMania week is still on, kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but okay, like I said, I don't want to harp on the bad stuff. There has been highlights, like last fall. You had a great match on AEW Dark last November. You wrestled Leva Bates and Nyla Rose. And you also, in the same theme, earlier this year, you released a Twitter video saying that you'd like to face Hikaru Shida, current AEW Women's Champion, when she was having like this open challenge thing. Have you been in contact with AEW at all since your appearances?
I don't think the door's not shut, but like at the moment, there's no point in a communicate. Like where there's nothing to communicate about. I'm locked in my country. My country's not letting me out no matter what. So but I just have to.
No, but like I understand, like there's nothing really short term. Like they're not going to be like, hey Shazza, why don't you come over, for a match next week? But are the lines still open? Like, well, you said it right. The door's not shut
or anything. I don't like. I think the door was still very much open when I was going to America in March. So now the door is just, I don't know. It's a different, well, who knows? It's not something, I think it's something that if a year ago, I was like, not obsessed, but like, I was so determined and I was so like focused on this is what, like, I need to get signed or I'm a failure kind of mindset. And I think like having this global pandemic has been very good for my mental health in that sense, because it's not an option. Like, it's not like, oh, you failed. It's just not an option. So just like, don't worry about it and figure out what else makes you happy in life, because being successful, like being on TV or having a contract or being able to live in America isn't an option right now.
Sure.
So just you just got to figure out what else there is in life and not obsess about it. And when it becomes an option again, then we can tackle that when we tackle that. But there's no point in obsessing over it and driving myself crazy about like, oh, I wish I was there. I have my moments obviously where I'm like, especially like, because there's so much talent getting opportunities and everything at the moment over there, due to the pandemic and due to just the way they've doing their tapings and everything like that. But I think if I start thinking, well, like, oh, I wish that was me, like, it's just going to be too much mentally, and it's just not healthy. And I just got to focus on what I can do and focus on like when the door open, like when the borders open and my country says, hey, like, we'll let you leave again, then we'll go balls to the wall and we'll be game on, bitches. But until then, we're just going to enjoy life and see where it takes us. Who knows what could happen between now and when my country lets me leave.
If anything, I'm digging this Zen master gimmick you have going for you. It's like Zen master slash let's get it on bitches kind of thing. There's something to explore there.
You've caught me on a good day.
The video though for Shido, kind of cool though, right? Because that sort of created. It also generated a very, very it generated a groundswell of support. The sign Shazza hashtag was kind of a thing. Is that something you were expecting, or because these organic things, it's pretty cool when they happen.
Yeah, so the sign Shazza hashtag happened. So after the dark match that I had, it's sort of like the people that started it like had a plan for like they were like we're gonna just like smash them when dark is supposed to air, because there was no dark that week because the dark I was on was like a before the pay-per-view dark, so it was on the Friday.
Right.
So anyway, it all happened as I was flying home, and like I got off my 15-hour flight from America to open up my like connect to the internet again and open up to like a million notifications, and I'm like, what is happening? Like very overwhelming thing to get off the plane.
No doubt.
Traveling to, but 100% didn't expect like I didn't expect like Brandy supported it and Nyla Rose supported it, Janela supported it, like people within the company were supporting it, and I thought that was like I never thought that would happen. I think if that had happened I would be in a different position if that had happened in like today's climax, if that makes like I don't at that time they weren't. It's always difficult. Like as an international, like it's not the same as just going, hey, we want to give you a contract. Here's our X, Y, and Z money. It's hey, we want to give you a contract. Oh, okay, now we have to fill out all this legal paperwork to get you into the country, and all this stuff that is going to cost us lots and lots of extra money. So it's not. I don't think I'll ever have that beautiful moment where I'm, walk backstage from a match and they're like, "Here's a contract," because it's going to be a big decision that has to be made, and I have to prove that I'm worth that extra effort that is involved, because that's. If I have to prove that Shazza McKenzie is more valuable than all the other females that they can find in their country, and there's so many talented women in America that like. I don't blame them. And that was like the whole point of the Sheeta promo. It was like, I wanted to get myself over or whatever. But I knew I can't answer this challenge. Like I knew that. But I wanted to shed some light on the amazing talents that are in America that they maybe weren't aware of, or were like, because yes, they're in wrestling, but like when you're in wrestling and especially if you're running a company like that, you can kind of end up in your own little bubble and you forget that there's all these people outside of it. And so I just kind of wanted to open their eyes to all those like different options. And I hope I did a little bit. Who knows? I don't know. Like maybe they didn't even watch it. No, they definitely watched it. They
definitely watched it. For sure they watched it.
Come on. Like, none of them liked it, but they definitely watched it.
but exactly, like, and this, I think this is something that resonated with a lot of people at the same time, because you did put over Nicole Savoy, Hyan, Solo Darling, Trisha Dora, Heather Monroe. I feel like I'm Holidead. Yeah. So you did take the opportunity to do that. And the AEW women's division is talk of the town for a lot of reasons, recently. How do you feel about that? Do you think they should be pulling more from the indies? Should the women be getting more time?
I think so. I think there was a period where they were kind of, I don't know, like on cruise control.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if sure. And they were just kind of waiting for this pandemic. Like they were kind of like, well, once the borders open, like we'll have B back and we'll have Sadie back and we'll have Yuka and like Rio and everyone like in Emmy and stuff were just like, yeah, we'll just wait for that to happen. And then I don't know what happened, but I feel like there was like this moment of change where they realized, no, like this could go on forever. Like we can't just be in cruise control because half of our roster is overseas. Sure. Like we need to make stuff with what we've got available. And I think like in the last, oh God, what is it? Like 2 months, maybe, like that they've increased their dedication to like the stories and developing the different female characters. And yeah, okay, sometimes they still ended up with the 3-5 minute segments or whatever, but they developed these characters. Like you knew who Swole was, you know who, like the hype videos for Thunder Rosa coming in, like you knew who she was and you were ready, like. And I think that they're going in a good direction. Like, I think it's kind of always going to be an uphill battle when you have that many people with that many different wrestling opinions. Sure. And obviously Tony is the be all and end all and says, and like vetoes whatever, but like it's always going to be like, you know, the Bucks are always going to want tag team wrestling to be the main thing, and Cody's going to want like the TNT title to be the main thing, and then Brandy's going to want the women's wrestling. Like you've got to kind of like everyone's fighting for what they believe is. I mean, I don't know, I'm not in their meetings,
but I get
they could be all holding hands. I don't know, but like what I say is it's kind of like this, you're always going to have differing opinions and differing focuses, but I feel like whatever's happening now, there's a bit more direction and drive, and people are a bit more focused on creating these characters in the women's division and building them and creating stories. And it doesn't mean that they have to get 15-minute matches every week. That's like, I get that, but they can have their 15-minute matches on Dark. Yeah. But we just need like characters and stories and reasons to give a crap about these people, because I care about them. But I know that I'm not the minority, but I care about them because I'm a women's wrestling fan, and that's what I connect with the most. So it's different. Yeah, I don't know.
I understand, and I think there's a lot. I think there's more people out there that connect with the women as well. I think there are a lot of women's wrestling fans as well out there.
Yeah, if you don't put effort into your women's division, then you're neglecting a whole section of your potential audience. Sure. And I think that they're kind of realizing that now. After everyone on Twitter.
I think so too. If we're talking about AEW and all, of course, but you've wrestled in Shimmer. You've had a good run in Shimmer again last fall. You've wrestled the likes of Priscilla Kelly, Marty Bell. You even won a scramble against cheerleader Melissa, Elena Black, Chris Statlander, Nevaeh, and Skylar. You've also won the PWA heavyweight title, the number one contendership match against 3 men, right? In PWA Black Label.
Yes.
So, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. You've competed against a range of people, men, women. Are there still any wrestlers you'd like to face or promotions you'd like to work in? We've talked about AEW, but I mean, we can break out of that bubble.
Yes. Oh my God. There's so many, like, especially like, with the way it's constantly like Deonna is back in the world of independent wrestling. Mm-hmm. Like I had a triple threat with her when she came down to Australia like 2 years ago, 2018. And we were both like, yeah, we've got to get, we like, oh, I really want a singles. And then like 2 weeks later, we were in America and we're at the show where she got signed. So it didn't happen, but now she's back and I'm like, yes, like her and Rachel Ellering, like there's like, oh, I don't, there's so many women out there, like just that I haven't had the opportunity to work with. And there's so many women that I want to work with again. Like if I could just wrestle Kylie Ray 500 times, that would just be great. Like I wouldn't get that's cool. And then of course there's so many guys once you open up the options to intergender wrestling, there's just so many options of people that I could wrestle, that I want to wrestle, and I would just I can't even think about it because there's just so many. I could wrestle 100 different people, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is 100 different first time matches. And that's why intergender wrestling is so cool, because it just gives us so many more options, and then you learn so much from wrestling different people. And then it's just without intergender wrestling, we're closed off to only being able to grow this much, whereas with intergender wrestling we can grow this much, and that's what it's about.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Well, you're chomping at the bit for sure, Shazza. We hope that we can get you back in North America soon, or at least in Europe, right? At least,
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Just out of my country, maybe even New Zealand would be nice. Open that bubble, that'd be great.
Well, there you go. But clearly, you're excited to get back into it, and we're excited to see you get back into it as well, so that we can see you in all different promotions, maybe a little more on our TV screens. We never know. Shazza, what's the best place for everyone to? Yeah, exactly. Quadruple. Fingers crossed. What's the best place if anyone wants to keep abreast with Shazza McKenzie News? Where can they follow you?
I like to use such a fancy word. You should follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Shazza_McKenzie. And then in my bio for that has all the links to all my merch stuff, because who doesn't like money?
Buy your t-shirts, damn it. Shazza, Ken, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining me, taking the time out of your day to do it. I really, really appreciate it. It was very fun talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for listening or watching right now. If you're listening on YouTube, consider giving the video a thumbs up. Otherwise, a nice review on your podcast app. That kind of stuff always helps out. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes. We'll see you soon.